Hello, welcome back to Truthseekerstea. My name is Kate. If you are new to the channel, either way, I just want to say thank you so much for tuning into today's pick a card reading. I do really appreciate every single one of you that are here for the video. So for today's reading, we're going to be looking at what is the truth of your current circumstances, especially focusing on your experience of them. So I'm really hoping here to help you guys feel more seen in what you're going through and hopefully provide some clarity on anything you're feeling confused about, or just some confirmation of honestly like what you're going through and to get you some advice from spirit. So there are 3 piles to choose from. These are all 3 new decks to me and they're all beautiful, but for pile number 1 we have the Prisma Visions Tarot with this opalite crystal or opalite crystal. For pile number 2 we have the Numinous Tarot with this rose quartz crystal. For pile number 3 we have Zeke's Arcana Tarot with this amethyst crystal. So go ahead and tune into whatever pile you're feeling the most drawn to. You may have messages in more than one pile. I have oracle cards pulled before we get into the reading, so hopefully those can really serve as an energy check-in. So if I start talking and it sounds like nothing like your situation, I would say it's not your pile. So I would be open to choosing another pile if I were you, but of course it's possible that there aren't messages for you in this reading, and that's totally okay. I have a lot of other readings on this topic as well. So there will be extended readings. It's slightly different for each pile just based on what it seemed like each pile needed more clarification on. So the extended readings are meant for those that are really resonating and feel like it's worth it to check out a Vimeo link to it, and we're going to go deeper into anything that comes up that we need more time to go into. So other than that, I will have the decks linked down below. I will have the timestamps and any other information about me that could be helpful. But without further ado, let's get into your readings and I'll see you at your pile. Hello, pile number 1. If you chose the Prisma Visions Tarot and the opalite crystal, this is going to be your reading where we're looking at your current circumstances, and this reading is really meant to provide you clarity with what's going on, with what you might be feeling confused about, and what truth your spirit team wants you to know about whatever is going on in your life right now. So I'm actually going to start with the oracle cards that I just pre-pulled, and then I want to go through and just clarify with tarot as needed. So the cards that I got for this pile, we have Falling, the Unknown, Descent, Momentum, and Change. And this part is really meant to be an energy check-in as well. So hopefully as I start speaking about this, you'll know pretty quickly whether or not this is a feeling you're going through or circumstances you're going through. We have Yang, proactivity, expression, doing, and forward movement. So we have momentum twice, forward movement. We have Air, open-mindedness, objectivity, and learning. We have the Uncharted Sea, which is, they're very similar themes here. So I'm getting a pretty clear message for what your current circumstances are. We have Only the Weavers Know the Time. And we have When the Ones You Need Fly Close. So I'm just gonna double check that everything is in view as I would like it. Okay, perfect. So pile number 1. This, if you resonate with this reading, it's likely that you're going through a time period of uncertainty and change. It's likely that whatever has kept you in your comfort zone is no longer there to kind of keep you rooted. And so some of the things I was hearing was like, just keep swimming. So I thought it was funny that the Uncharted Sea came out, because there's a sense here of all you can do right now is just put one foot in front of the other, because it's not a time where there's complete certainty. It's like there isn't a roadmap to your journey at this present moment. And it's like you're being initiated into a higher perspective of being more open to what's to come without feeling like you have to control it, or without feeling like you're responsible for doing everything. There's a sense here of balancing out the yang energy. So that's the energy where we feel like we need to know, like we have to figure it out, like we have to take action to achieve something. It's like it's a very action-oriented energy. And I feel like you're meant to be taking actions when the time is right. But I feel like right now, it isn't like you don't have a map exactly where it's like, I'm going to take this action and it's going to, like, for example, when you're in college, it's like, you have to take these classes this year, the next classes like the next year, and that's going to reach you to your goal. Instead, you're being initiated into this action-oriented energy that's actually rooted in not knowing exactly where it's taking you, but learning to trust in the process. And this falling card talks about a moment, and it's really about when Alice goes down the rabbit hole, right? And so it's that one moment when she's falling, and it's like she's decided to follow the rabbit down this hole. And so she's already been taken out of her day-to-day circumstances that maybe were secure and safe and known, but instead she decided to follow something and do something that wasn't expected. So it's kind of like this spontaneous change. And so I feel like for a lot of you, you guys may have recently made a decision that is, some of you maybe had a tower moment where you've been forced to kind of take action in a direction you didn't think you were going to, or for some of you, it could be that you decided to take that leap because you could no longer tolerate your current circumstances. And this is a time period where you're meant to be opening your mind, because we have open-mindedness in learning. And so it's almost like whatever mindset you've had before is something you're shedding. And because you're in a time period where you're shedding who you thought you were and what you thought you wanted to do or go, or like relationships in your life, you may have had a solid idea of what those were. You're actually shedding that. And so what comes with shedding that is a time period of the void. And so I feel like some of you guys are potentially feeling somewhat anxious about not having as much control, or not really knowing where you're being led right now. And the only thing you can really do is just keep going. Like there's nothing else to be done. And so I'm really seeing this as like a journey, and like Spirit's showing me like in a movie when obviously the protagonists have like a long journey ahead of them and they don't know exactly I've been watching, what's it called? One Piece. Like One Piece is like that anime show that just came up on Netflix. And essentially it's like, if you guys have watched it, you'll know what I'm talking about. But if you guys haven't, it's like basically this like adventure show where this main protagonist wants to reach this one piece so he can become the king of pirates. And he has little information on how to get there. He doesn't know what the journey is going to require, but it's like step by step, they keep making progress and they keep running into obstacles and overcoming them. And they get closer and closer. But the gist of what I'm trying to say is that they don't know exactly, he doesn't know how he's going to get there, but he knows he's going to get there. And so he's really moving in this energy of going towards his goal. He's taking action. He's moving forward without even knowing if he's going to be successful, not even knowing what the journey looks like. And so I think you guys are in a certain situation like that as well, where you may have a feeling of where you want to go, but you don't know exactly what it looks like or what the journey looks like right now. And that's exactly how it's supposed to be. So Spirit's wanting to tell you that this time period, because our ego and our brains want to protect us. So it's like we crave stability, we crave like certainty, we crave knowing, and so it's naturally scary when we're in a time period where we can't know. And we have to just trust and keep going step by step. And with this, only the weavers know the time. This is essentially a card that's talking about letting go of our timetable and the way we think things are going to unfold, and surrendering to the divine timing, essentially. But what's so interesting about divine timing is that it doesn't mean that you aren't proactive. It doesn't mean that you don't take action and you you don't experiment, you don't try things. It just means that you aren't rigid in your approach or that you're open-minded. And so the truth of your circumstances are that they're requiring you to open your mind to what you thought was going to happen, what you think is going to happen currently. And the only way to progress is to accept that you don't have a full map with the uncharted seas. You're moving into an era of your life where you don't know how it's going to turn out. And I think that's causing maybe some anxiety and some need to control, right? And that's very normal and that's very common. And so I feel like Spirit just wants to tell you that like that response is okay, but it isn't an indication that you're on the wrong path, or it isn't an indication that everything's going to turn out poorly. And it's like sometimes when we don't know, we crave control, and it's like we want to reduce potential mishaps, like we want to stay safe. But I feel like the truth of your circumstances are that trying to stay safe or clinging on to some map that you feel you already have, aka like maybe like your mindset or like the things you already know, it's not going to be what pulls you forward on this journey. With the ones you need fly close, there's two messages coming through for this. I feel like for those of you that are feeling disconnected, or almost like the way I would describe it is when maybe you've gone through like difficult relationships, or you're just confused right now why certain things had to happen, or why certain people in your life came in, and like why their outcome was the way it was. And this card is reminding you that soulmates come into our life to teach us lessons and to help us explore life. And sometimes what we had in mind for that relationship or situation was never the purpose of it. And so sometimes it's about surrendering to what it taught you, and knowing that even if it was a sense that you may be feeling, I'm just trying to put this into words, it's a sense of feeling maybe lonely or feeling misunderstood or feeling alone. Yeah, feeling alone on this journey. But Spirit wants to remind you that you're not alone. And even the soulmates that we learn hard lessons with, there is a lot of love behind that, even if it doesn't feel like it. And so I feel like sometimes just having that moment where you go like, my journey is my journey, and what's meant to be is meant to be. And like the people that have been in my life had purpose, even if it, to my logical brain, it doesn't seem like it. And so Spirit wants to remind you of that, but also wants to remind you that there are people on the journey. Oh my gosh, this is so cute, because this is reminding me of the One Piece story, like what I was talking about. So Monkey D. Luffy is like the main character that is the protagonist. He wants to be the king of pirates, and along the way he keeps finding people at different places. So it's like there's almost like different scenes where it's like they go to different places, and there's always like one person that becomes a friend of Monkey D. Luffy and joins his journey, and they're actually on a boat and stuff. So it's very relevant to this. It's like, but like he could have felt alone on the journey, but he didn't really need to worry, because along the journey he was always going to be meeting his crew. So he's trying to make this crew essentially to go with him. And in the most unlikely of places, in the most different of people compared to him, he finds his crew and he finds his soulmate people that are going to go on this journey with him. And so it's important to remember that you're going to find that. And that's where that's the journey you're on right now. And so it may be that the people you're used to, or like your hometown, or it may be that you're being pushed into the unknown. And right now it feels uncomfortable because you don't have that home base, maybe. Because the main character leaves his hometown and all the people he knew. And so he has no one with him that is a part of his family or like childhood friends, but he meets them again along the journey. Not those people, but like new people that are his new soul tribe. And so I feel like this group, the truth of your circumstances, are that you're going to be meeting people along the way who are going to help you, and that there's always help available to you, even when it feels like the journey is treacherous or unknown, or you don't feel like you know what you're doing. There's this trusting of the fall, trusting that even if you don't know exactly what you're transitioning to, it's not that you're going to fall forever. It's not that you're going to be feeling this confusion forever. It's that this is just a part of a purpose, or a part of the journey for the higher purpose of getting to like a new reality, essentially. It's like you're in a transitional time period. And we also have Pluto at the bottom of the deck with transform. And so I definitely feel like a lot of your, and then we have fixed underneath. So it's like a lot of your fixed energy. We have stability, persistence, loyalty, and dependability. I feel like this is what is going through transformation right now. And I feel like all you have, I feel like there's a lot of confusion right now. And the only remedy for that is staying open-minded, and piece by piece, you'll get more clarity. Piece by piece, you'll be understanding more why you're going through this. And it's about trusting that when you need to know something, you will know. And the right people will come in at the right time. So there's a lot about that coming through. I'm just going to get a sip of water. So I want to ask some specific questions now about this, just to help give you guys a little bit more clarity. So can you tell me what is pile number 1 leaving behind? Like, what's the comfortability or like the sense of normalcy that pile number 1 maybe clinging to, or maybe feeling sadness in leaving? What is this? Can you tell us a little bit about what they are leaving? We have the Ace of Cups, the King of Cups in reverse, we have the Chariot, Page of Swords, and the Four of Wands. Yeah, it feels like in order for you to make forward progress in your life, yeah, Five of Pentacles, there's some sort of loss you've had to go through. With the Page of Swords here, you may have learned information, or you may be in a time period. The Page of Swords is very much this air energy that's learning, is open-minded, and is having to adjust their mental standpoint. And I feel like for some of you with the Four of Wands, maybe where you were wasn't, with the King of Cups in reverse, it may have been that it wasn't truly emotionally fulfilling for you. I just want to say, why is the Ace of Cups here? One more for the Ace of Cups, please. Queen of Wands. I feel like you are leaving behind certain emotional opportunities, or certain people, places, things that maybe you saw turning into something else or turning into more. But if you were honest in your heart of heart, it may have been that it wasn't really true to you, this place. And it may be that you felt stagnant, or it's like, in order to grow, in order to move forward, it's almost like you've had to go through some kind of a loss to do that, is just what I'm getting. With the Ace of Swords in reverse, yeah, it could be very confusing at this current time. Why is the Page of Swords here? The Ten of Swords in reverse, the Hangman, 10 of Cups, yeah, 7 of Cups, and 9 of Cups. You guys are, essentially what's going through is you guys are learning maybe a difficult lesson around what you actually want. And so I think there's something that you thought you wanted, maybe something that you saw a really promising future with, that has come to an ending with the Ten of Swords in reverse. And it may be with the 7 of Cups, it's like you may have thought it was going to be one thing, but then you discovered it was another. And so it's like now you're moving from the 7 of Cups, which is a little bit of confusion and having different options, into honing into what your true 9 of Cups is. And I think it's difficult. I think this ending is difficult because of the potential it had. I think you guys may have felt like your confidence or your happiness was going to be on some sort of path that you were just on. But I feel like you're coming into this emotional truth with yourself that it wasn't what you thought it was going to be, or that it isn't going to work out in the way you thought it was. And I think that the most difficult thing is when we have a mindset and we think things are going to unfold in a certain way, then we feel attached to that, and we feel very disappointed and like let down when it doesn't happen that way. But the universe and spirit always knew what it was going to be. And so it's almost like when we're at the end of learning that lesson, it's like there's nothing left for you to learn there besides acceptance that it isn't it, or that it isn't, you've learned what you have needed to learn already at this place. And it may be that some of you are holding on to it because you thought there's supposed to be more, or you thought that your journey forward was there. But I just feel that your journey forward, and like where your soul is going to grow and find more happiness is actually elsewhere, but it's like you don't know exactly what it is right now. And I think it may just be that a part of you, maybe a lot of you in this group, are still thinking of some opportunity from the past that you just thought was going to be different or turn into something more. And that may be why you maybe still want to stay there, or like cling on to that and see if it would unfold. But Spirit's saying it wouldn't unfold any better. It's like you've learned what you need to learn. You've seen what you're supposed to see, and staying in that environment would only cause more pain and karma. And so Spirit has a way of letting us dip our toes in a realm where, like, let's say our ego wants a certain thing. It will let us explore that. Like, the universe lets us do that. But at some point when you've seen what you need to see, Spirit's now asking you to integrate the information and kind of accept it and move forward with what you've learned, without clinging to what if or what could have been, because if it was supposed to be it would have been different already. So that's what I'm seeing for like what you guys are kind of leaving behind. I want to look at what's the most difficult part for pile number 1 about these circumstances. What's the most difficult thing? What are they struggling over the most here? What's the most difficult part for with the 7 of Swords in reverse? What's the most difficult part for pile number 1? With the 9 of Pentacles. The Tower. Yeah, there could have seriously been a Tower moment. The 6 of Cups in reverse. King of Cups in reverse. 5 of Wands in reverse. Okay. 4 of Swords. Yeah, so what I'm seeing is because of maybe not wanting to be on your own, I'm seeing a lot here. Maybe a fear of being alone, or feeling like in order to be your best self, or there's a little bit of codependency, but not in a bad way, like not in a way that I'm like calling it out in a negative way. I'm just saying that I think the part of you that it's really struggling to move forward is this part of you that has this like nostalgic feeling towards these people. And there could be a specific person with the King of Cups in reverse, someone that you may have been attached to and that you may have been wanting to grow with, or it may have been that sometimes when we have like a codependency with someone, it's because we feel like our path to having something for ourselves is through another person. But I think this person was never meant to give you what you thought you were going to get from them, if that makes sense. And so I think with the Tower and the 7 of Swords, I think what's hard about this is just the jarring essence of thinking that something was a certain way and being attached to that and having it fall down and having to face where we weren't seeing the truth of a situation with the 7 of Swords in reverse. And it could be that there's maybe certain things that you believed about this situation, person, whatever you're moving away from right now, that you're having to accept. Like, I feel like there's truths that you're having to accept, either maybe about another person's dishonesty or just like the lack of information you had. Like the Tower really talks about like us growing a foundation for something and thinking we have all the facts, thinking we know everything, but it's usually that there's like misconceptions or illusions, or it's actually not what you thought it was. And I think that's hard for us to accept sometimes. And I think it does require you facing this sense of independence in order to fully feel comfortable realizing this truth. Because I feel like when we're afraid of a truth, we want to lie to ourselves in whatever way we can so we don't have to come out on the other side, essentially. And I think what your fear may be with the 4 of Swords and the 9 of Pentacles is kind of walking this path alone for a little bit. But Spirit's again reminding you you're never alone. Just because this scenario is breaking down, it could make you feel alone, but it's not actually that you are alone. And I think there's just still a lot of nostalgia and thoughts of the past kind of coloring your life right now. And I feel like your solution through that is the 9 of Pentacles, which is about realizing within you, you're enough. Within you, you already have everything you need to build your dream life, to be successful, to be emotionally happy. But sometimes we think that has to come with other people, places, and things. And so the hard part about this is realizing that isn't true. And sometimes it's hard for us to realize our power because it's scary, because it makes us feel like there's more responsibility on us. But when we start taking more responsibility, we actually start having more power. And I just think that there's a need for you to kind of cool off a little bit from this and spend some time without any outside influence from this situation. So with the 4 of Swords, you can find your truth with this like big sword right here. It's like there's a lot about the air energy. Yeah, 3 of Cups in reverse. Hermit underneath him. Yeah. Again, there's a lot here about the importance of figuring this out for yourself without thinking that everyone else's perspective and thinking that you need others to see the truth of this. Does that make sense? It's almost like Spirit's wanting you to see that you don't need any other information than what you have. And it's time for you to see your truth about this without the outside influence of a community. And it may be hard because it may feel more serious of a time period for you. But I just think there's a lot of hard truths that you are integrating. And that is just a process in itself. But the root of, I think, the fear is realizing that you didn't need what you thought you needed out of this. And it's about forgiving yourself as well for thinking that you needed it. Because sometimes we're just I hope this makes sense. Sometimes we're resistant to seeing the truth because of what that truth shows us. And I feel like this truth shows you that there could have been dishonesty. You could have not had all the facts you thought you had. I want to clarify the Five of Wands in reverse. Why is the Five of Wands here in reverse? Okay. We have so many coming out. Death, Five of Cups, the Lovers, Knight of Pentacles in reverse, and the Two of Swords. Yeah, so I feel like what's in the Three of Swords, I think there's a difficulty right now holding complexity with this situation. I think it's hard to realize your own inner confusion that you feel about this. And because the Five of Wands is about all of these different ideas and inner conflict, also outer conflict. And so I feel like this process of letting go and letting this transform is a need to kind of look at, there's a need to grieve, number one. I feel like a part of you doesn't want to look at it because you may have just thought things were so certainly one way that it's almost impossible to let go of that reality because you're so attached to it. Does that make sense? And I feel like you're looking at the Three of Cups in reverse. That's usually there with this Five of Cups. And I want to empathize and say all of your feelings are so valid. And there is real pain to be processed here. But in order to process pain, we have to start exploring the complexity of a situation and starting to integrate the truth from what we thought. And so I just think right now, it's hard to let go of what you thought it was. And with the Lovers, Knight of Pentacles in reverse. And it could even be that a part of you wants to stay stagnant and maybe a part of you wants to ignore this truth, or it may be that there's also a lot of conflicting information right now, and so it may be that you just feel confused about this still, like confused about what's gone on in your recent past, confused about this Tower moment or like this sudden realization. And a part of you is like still not sure what you believe. And I think this is about understanding the truth of that and understanding that that's an acceptable experience to have. And there isn't always one solid truth. It's not that either what I thought before was right or this terrible reality that I'm afraid of. It's that the truth is probably somewhere in the middle. And I feel like with the Two of Swords, though, this is about realizing this is a tricky situation where you need space to meditate on it and come to your own conclusion and recognize that no more information from any other source is really going to help you at this point. And also, I think what's difficult is that each situation for you seems bad right now. Because with the Two of Swords, it's almost like when you're in a rock and a hard place where you see two paths and decisions before you, both of them feel wrong. So I think what that means is I think you guys have seen enough truth that you realize you can't just live in your illusion about this. And so you can't just stay and pretend like things are the same. That doesn't feel right to you either. But what also sounds painful is letting go of something you're attached to and completely integrating what you've realized. And so I feel like there's a need to understand that this is a difficult situation and it is going to feel confusing. And I almost feel like the only way to get through, to get on the other side is just to move through it. And to allow yourself to sit in the uncertainty of it without feeling like you have to know, like, it's this or that, And I think there's just this energy here of there has been things that have been hidden from you and you're not crazy either. Like you're not crazy. It's just that you're having to see a truth that's difficult, I think. And it's pushing you down this path of where you didn't think you were going to have to go. But as you move down this path, you're going to get more clarity over time on this past situation but it's almost like you can't get that clarity sitting right there. And so I feel like what Spirit wants you to know, the truth of the situation is moving through it, carrying that uncertainty, holding those open questions in your mind of what you still want to know, while not having to invalidate your truth before, and not having to completely, like, it's like we don't have to see this situation as all bad or all good. You know, it's like we can hold the complexity of it, hold the fact that you are confused and you don't feel like you have clarity yet. And all you can do is keep moving. And that's just what Spirit kind of wants you to know, is that feels like that's the journey right now. Get a sip of water. I think for the extended reading, I am going to be looking at whatever significant people, especially that King of Cups in reverse, if that's like a lover or like a friend or something, it doesn't matter. But I'm just going to look at like, what truth do you really need to know about that person to help you move forward? What closure, what do you need to hear from them? We'll get messages from a certain specific person that maybe you keep thinking back to from this. And then we'll be looking at where you're headed, like generally. And maybe that will help give you some clarity. It's not going to, and so when I say it's like you don't know where you're going, it's that you don't know exactly what form that's going to take, but I can tell you energetically what it's going to look and feel like, where you're going and why this is happening. So I just want to give you guys some clarity as to like where you're going and what you need to hear about the past situation. So for those of you that feel like you really need that message from someone in the past, that's what we're going to be looking at. And then for those of you that maybe just want to know what's coming in the future, I think that'll be helpful. If you guys are interested, I'll have it linked down below. But I'm just going to get a message now. What do you really want to tell pile number one in regards to what they're going through, their current circumstances? What do you really want them to know? What do you want to tell them? Nine of Pentacles, yeah. Is that this is a time where you're learning more independence and to not worry that you needed this past scenario or that you needed these people, place, situation in order to be successful in yourself. It's not true. This is the time of empowerment for you to actually see just how much power you have within you and how much you don't need the past situation. Yeah, Four of Wands. And this could be a time for you guys where maybe it's your first time, like really, I just feel like there's a major ego death going on. Like there's a major transition. It could even be Dark Night of the Soul for some of you, but it's like whatever foundation you had, Spirit wants you to know that you don't need it. But like, it's not to say that it's bad. It's just that what Spirit wants you to know is sometimes having such a strong like foundation, like in this fixed energy, like stability, persistence, loyalty, and dependability. It's good in balance, right? To have like some stability. But when we get too rooted in that, it can actually prevent how much we're able to grow in life. It can prevent us from expansion. And so I feel like what Spirit wants you to know is that this really is about expansion. And sometimes our foundation can start to limit us. And that's what Spirit's saying has started to happen. Is like this foundation started to actually put you more in a box. And it started becoming a hindrance to your growth. Yeah, we have the Empress. That's beautiful. Yes, this is about you realizing just who you are, realizing how powerful you are, realizing that you aren't, it's like you haven't been able to realize your Empress status, your Empress potential within this realm, within this Four of Wands. Yeah, we have Temperance. We have so we have Judgment in reverse, Five of Cups in reverse, and Temperance. Magician in reverse, yeah. And so with the Magician in reverse here, and I get this message kind of a lot on the channel, is like when we feel that sense of codependency, aka like we need something in order to be abundant, so then we feel tied to it. It's kind of like the devil's energy. It's one thing to have a supportive like base, and stability is a good thing. I'm not trying to say it isn't. I'm just trying to say at some point when we become too reliant on the structures around us or the people, we limit ourselves. And so with the Magician in reverse, this is saying that this is you getting your power back, and it might not look like it, but this is actually about you tuning into realizing you have everything within you already that you need to create, and you haven't needed this foundation to do that. And the only way I think for you to realize that is to go through this journey. And so with Judgment in reverse here, I feel like Spirit's saying that there's this rebirth that you're going to be going through. And with Temperance, I feel like Spirit's saying there's a lot of messages that I was kind of talking about. I was talking about holding nuance, right? And so that's Temperance. Temperance is about being able to see two sides of a situation and hold two extremes at once and bring balance between them. And so I feel like you're getting new information right now that's kind of rocking you. And you're learning this process of learning to integrate something that's different from what you thought, right? So it's like, let's say we have A right here and now B is here and there are two cups. A little bit of B is being poured into what you thought was A. And so now you're having to do this alchemy between it, and it takes patience. That's why it's also patience, but it's about not jumping to any conclusions. And it's also about, Spirit wants you to know that right now, I think a blockage for you, I think there could just be a lot of sadness for what's been lost. Because the Five of Cups in reverse can be this feeling that everything's lost, or feeling a lot of regret or guilt or sadness for what's happened. And Spirit's telling you that that isn't the purpose of this journey and what's happened. And with Judgment here, Judgment is about coming to a higher truth. And Spirit's saying you can't see right now, but the higher truth you're going to come to is this Nine of Pentacles, is this inner sense of worth and potential and power that you have that's independent from whatever's gone on in your past. And you're really being asked to let the past, you're being asked to integrate the past with the present and the future. Does that make sense? And so living in the past right now is okay for a certain amount of time, especially as you're like processing these emotions. But it's about realizing the story you're telling yourself from the past is not the truth necessarily with Judgment here. And the more that you're willing to let go of a narrative that everything's messed up, or like that something went wrong or it shouldn't have happened, or that you still need this, the sooner you're going to kind of you're going to realize Judgment is about almost looking at a previous mindset and seeing the higher truth of it. And when you do that, you'll free yourself from the pain, and you'll gain gratitude for the journey and like what's happened. Yeah, so I hope that that's been helpful. I hope that that has spoken to some of what you guys are going through right now. I'm going to take this into the extended reading now, so I'll have that link down below. But for those of you that are leaving us here, I hope that this has been helpful. If it has been, if you're able to hit the like button, to leave a comment, I love to get your guys' feedback on these readings. And if you want to see more readings from this channel, I would love for you to subscribe so you don't miss any future pick a card readings. Other than that, I hope you are having a great day, and I hope to connect with you soon. Hello, pal number 2. If you chose the Numinous Tarot and the Rose Quartz Crystal Point here, this is going to be a reading where we're looking at the truth of your current circumstances. And the purpose of this reading is to help you feel more seen in what you're going through right now, and to hopefully highlight anything that's been confusing, and to help you feel more sure about your path forward, and to get you guys some guidance. So I already pre-pulled some oracles. I'm going to use this to clarify as we go along. So this should really serve as an energy check-in. So as I'm going through this, I think it would be a good idea to make sure that you feel like this is your scenario. If it feels the things I'm starting to say sound like they apply to you, if not, you might want to check out another pile. So we have the right way, learning to create what you desire. And this also came out in pile number 1's extended reading. Yeah, so I thought that was interesting. Okay, so we also have When the Birds Sing Gratitude. We have Weavers Watch the Dragons Fly. I'll be going into what these mean. These titles are honestly don't really say what they mean, but I love this deck though. So we have Underneath the Lizard Skin. We have Open to Discovery. We have The Rose's Kiss. We have House 2, Physical Security, Possessions, Material Value, Self-Worth. And House 8, Transformation, Karma, Facing Fears, and Legacies. Okay, so Pile number 2. I would say that this is most likely your pile if you are feeling a little bit stuck right now, or you may just be feeling like life is a little bit lackluster. I feel like with House 2 being here, I wasn't surprised to see this come out because there is a sense of being in your day-to-day life and not really feeling like there's very much magic in it. And so the main thing I'm feeling is that you're entering a time period where in order to feel more enthusiasm and to start feeling like your life is moving faster, or that you're feeling more passion and direction in your life, it feels like there needs to be a shedding with House 8 coming out. A shedding of, because the House 8 also represents death and like scorpionic energy. So I feel like there may be certain things in your subconscious. So what this would mean is that it's almost like, without even knowing it, there may be certain beliefs that you have, or biases, and we all have biases. So it's not saying that you guys are more biased than other people. It's that I've been in this mentality as well, or I remember what this feels like. And for me, the best way I could relate to this energy is, I would say that before I kind of had my first spiritual awakening, I really felt like life was dull, or like I almost felt like there was just a lot of hardship and problems, and sort of like there were things I enjoyed, of course, but I didn't really have like a passion, is what I would say. Like when I went into college, like I didn't know what major I wanted. I kind of just felt like I was going through the motions in life and just trying to kind of like survive, but not in like a fear-based mentality, but like I almost just thought life was about that. And I remember when I had my spiritual awakening, I was reading The Power of Now. And I remember in The Power of Now, there was a moment, and it's by Eckhart Tolle. It's a really good book if you might be interested in reading something, but that was like one of the most influential books for my spiritual awakening. And what he was saying was, basically he breaks down the ego and like the way that we don't really live in the present moment. And his story is essentially that he was someone that he was in academia, and he just lived his life. He was not very happy, and he kind of felt similar, like he was going through the motions. Maybe he was dealing with like some depression, anxiety, things like that. And he kind of went through this experience where he realized that there were two selves within him, that there was the observer self, and then there was the thoughts and the feelings. And once he separated them, it's almost like a new dimension opened up for him, where he explains it like this, like suddenly he woke up. And all spiritual awakenings like don't happen like this quickly. I think some people it just happens that way, but others it can be just like slower moments where this happens. And it's kind of like this feeling where when you really come into the present moment, and I hope I'm not like explaining anything that you already know, like it could be that you guys have already felt like this way before, but you've maybe, because of what's been going on in your life, like you maybe lost touch with this feeling. So I think me talking about it might re-inspire you, or it might open up an idea for you. But and I feel like I'd heard people say stuff like this before, and like it didn't really mean anything to me because I didn't have any experience of it myself. And so you can hear people say all day long, like be present, or like, I don't know, like happiness, joy, peace, like all of these like mantras and things that really don't have meaning until that experience happens. And I feel like what woke me up, it truly woke me up. He said to look at an object, and it sounds so simple, but he said to look at an object and don't label it, don't judge it, just really look at it. Like look at it for like as much time as you need. And I started doing this, and suddenly like my whole body started like tingling, and I literally thought like I was having a medical experience. I got kind of scared, but it was like this weird feeling where my whole body kind of came alive. And the first time I experienced it, it was like weird. It was like this whole new dimension opened up. And after that experience, I could tap back into that space. And it was just in like moments where I could kind of focus. And then this is what meditation became for me. And then as I later on started meditating, I started being able to like go into this state like at will. And what for me it was like is when you silence your mind and you don't let any preconceptions of something cause you to not see it fully and for its magnificence. And so what I could like say is that it's like you could look at this crystal and like your mind could say, okay, like I know what that is. It's like a rock, it's a crystal. And it could just like look right past it and not like really look at it. But like if you don't like think about something and you just witness it, it kind of comes alive. And it's something that it's only going to be a signpost for me trying to explain it. But I feel like with this open to discovery, this is like what this is describing for me is when we kind of have this moment of realization that our mind, because our mind is efficient also. So our mind does this, it categorizes everything into categories to save like calories. It's efficient. It's an efficient process. And if we didn't do it, we wouldn't be able to do anything. Essentially, like it's very important that we're able to have that function where we put things into categories so we can move more quickly and efficiently through things. But when we get so in the habit of doing that, it can kind of take the magic out of a lot of things. And so this Rose's Kiss card, it's really nice because what this is kind of showing here is like this beautiful flower and this moment in nature where there's like a ladybug. And this is a card that calls you to tune back into your senses. And for me, meditation has never been something that is like so magical or like something that's just like, it's simple, you know? And for me, when I meditate, it starts like this. It starts with me listening to what I can hear, listening to the gaps in between what I can hear, me feeling the seat that I'm sitting in, me feeling the temperature, me feeling the breeze, me feeling how my body feels. And you go into this like almost observer state where it just feels so rejuvenating. And suddenly when you like open your eyes, but for me, I meditate with my eyes open a lot. It just completely transforms the room you're even sitting in. Or it's like you could look at a sunset and you could see the sunset, but it's almost like you don't get that magical experience unless you're in that observer state. And so I think with this group, the truth of your circumstances are that I think the world is feeling kind of mundane because there may just be a habit right now of preconceived notions and kind of expecting when you already think you know how something is going to be or you feel like you know all the possibilities already, it's like you box yourself into what's possible and you kind of take out the possibility of magic and synchronicity. And so a big part, in my opinion, of spirituality and what got me into spirituality was like it's this feeling of like, I don't even know how to describe it. Like, it's just this joyful feeling of realizing that everything isn't what our brain thought it was. And that the universe is actually here so subtly, so energetically subtly, giving us signs and giving us synchronicities. And when we're open and we don't, like, for another way of describing this is like, there's a lot of, I don't know if you've heard about this before, but like, there's the concept of like, we are the oracle and like everyday life can serve as messages to us, but there's a need to be open to it because it's like if you just see, let's say you keep seeing like a butterfly and you always write it off as a butterfly and then maybe you miss that there was something being communicated, if that makes sense. And so for me, this comes through a lot in songs, in movies. It's like I didn't even expect it, but suddenly the universe told me something through something actually very mundane. But until you open yourself up to the deeper meaning or the deeper potential in it, you'll miss it. And you'll miss that moment where you just feel so connected. And like that moment when you get that synchronicity, it's so beautiful because you just are reminded of spirit and you're reminded of the cosmic intelligence that's running through everything, no matter how physical the world seems. And you might want to even listen to some Alan Watts YouTube. Like he speaks a lot on YouTube and he kind of talks about how there's like two ways of seeing the world, and it's like seeing us as just a bag of bones and everything is just like material and everything's dead. Or there's kind of a way of thinking spirituality is so far outside of the physical that we're kind of thinking that spirituality is something that isn't possible to exist within the physical. And the lesson is realizing that they're intertwined. The spiritual and the physical are a dance with each other, and everything is energy. And once you start like tapping into that, suddenly life doesn't feel so boring. Life doesn't feel so predictable and just restricted, is what I would say. And it is within this space that, for myself personally, the most expansion has occurred when I've emptied my mind of what I thought was going to happen that day. It's like the essence of waking up and realizing it's a brand new day and you have no idea what's going to happen in that day. And it's almost like as soon as you align with that mentality, suddenly like miracles start happening before you. And I know that sounds crazy, but it's not like crazy miracles. I'm just saying miracles to yourself. And to me, a miracle could look like me having been wondering about something and then the answer coming through, or me having just thought of something and then reading it in a book and then getting more information about it. And I'm like, oh yes, like thank you, Spirit, like yes. And I think all of us, even like tarot readers, anyone, like any human, ebbs and flows through states where we're more open energetically and we're more open to like the natural beauty of things. And there's times where things get more busy and we just get more like locked in our day-to-day, like repetitive patterns, and we kind of lose that magic. And that's happened to me as well. And sometimes the only thing that puts me back in that state is to remember the small moments where I felt magic. And that might be helpful for you as well. Everyone has something that brings them to the present moment, whether that's like something you do, like sports. For me, like when I played soccer, and like that was something that just, I was in flow. And so flow is also a state that I'm trying to talk about, is trying to find even the smallest of moments. Like it doesn't have to be something incredible, like painting a beautiful picture. It's like just finding the small things that bring you into flow. I think will be really helpful for this group to kind of remind you to kind of create space, is what I'd say. And so I feel like this is sort of like a lot of meditation is coming through here, because once you create that space in a moment, suddenly you have more space between you and your preconceived notions and your thoughts. Suddenly you have more room to question a thought or question a belief. And suddenly you have more opportunity besides just what you've always known. And so I'm kind of also thinking of how I'm hearing right now, like that fact where it says like, you think like 90% of the same thoughts as you thought the day before. And it's like our brains create such a consistency that can be stabilizing for us, but it can also be like untrue, you know? It's a little bit distorted to always be categorizing things, because no moment is the same. Even though it's like you're not the same person this moment as you were a moment ago. Like every moment is a new opportunity for rebirth. Every moment is a new opportunity for inspiration. And this, the right way card, learning to create what you desire. This card talks about no longer waiting for the universe to make it happen for you. It's about tuning into your passion and asking, how can I get this done? Instead of waiting for the universe to change your mindset, because that's not going to happen, because you're in control of your mindset. And it's about realizing that your brain is actually just a tool for you, and your soul and your observer being is actually very capable of going in and reprogramming it. And so I think this group may be at this current time fallen into a rut of forgetting that you have so much power to influence your life, and you have magic. There's magic all around you. It's just about kind of getting into that mindset where you can see it. And I think it says when the bird sings with gratitude. And I feel like one of the first things that started occurring for me when I was like I spent like hours in a meditative state where it would go to no thoughts, and like the amount of like gratitude just for like everything, or like the world, the trees, the grass, the air, like water, my parents, like even people who have hurt me, every person. It's almost like you can feel it more. But when we're stuck in our day-to-day thing, it's hard to appreciate anything really. And so I feel like with the 8th house here, there may be certain things, like when it says facing fears, like sometimes when we are afraid of facing something or we don't want to sit with certain things, you know, we can distract ourselves, or we can get in these habits of like small addictions where it's like we're going to watch a reality TV show or we're going to be on our phone. And it's like those kind of habits can keep us in this mundane sense of the world. And temporarily it can ease a sense of anxiety, but it also makes us feel spiritually depleted because we aren't taking that time to connect. And so I feel like maybe if there's certain fears that are stopping you from wanting to sit in the present, or maybe they've even become so subconscious that you don't even realize that they're there. There could be subconscious things that need to be brought up to the surface in order for you to begin to be more present, you know, because sometimes when we have anxiety or like anything, any past like issue or any past like trauma or anything like that, or just like difficulties in our life, it can be really hard to sit with ourselves and like sit with our thoughts. But the more we actually do that, the less power they have over us and the less scary they become. And so I just kind of feel like the truth for this group is that your circumstances aren't really the problem. And it's not to say you're the problem. It's just to say that the problem is much more easy to solve, or this way of feeling, this like sense of, I think also what came through is underneath the lizard skin. This is also a card about transformation and a sense of feeling stale and feeling like you're ready for a new version of yourself. So for this group, you guys might be ready to start a new hobby. You guys might be ready to start a new job. You guys might be ready for some sort of exploration, but it's just that matter of like taking those first steps and actually taking those actions to get yourself feeling some new energy and like kind of getting some stale energy out. And so I feel like the second you start doing that, it's just going to be like it'll be, what's it called? A domino effect from there. And so I feel like really for this group, if you aren't feeling satisfied with certain things, ask yourself what you can do differently. Like, what do you want then, you know? And be willing to ask yourself that, and be willing what you have to shed. What's in your way from taking those actions? And it could even just be as small as like, you know, I'm just more in my comfort zone when I stay at home. But then it's like you can kind of ask yourself if, you know, if that's really kind of coming from a fear-based place. And even though it's uncomfortable for that first moment when you step outside, when you decide to begin your meditation practice, when you engage in something you don't normally engage in, because the human brain, especially when you start meditating, is going to go like, what's the point of this? Like, can we just get back to what we were doing? Like, this is boring, like blah, blah, blah. And I just feel like it's just getting over that initial challenging, you know, the start of it is the hardest part. And I just think this group is ready though to start that, because I feel like you've already decided that you are feeling stagnant and kind of not super happy with where you're at. Maybe in a relationship, maybe in your job, maybe with where you're living, maybe just with like your own mental health and your own, like the way you're feeling every day. Like maybe you just want to be inspired again, but I just think that starts more with a mentality than something exciting happening in your life. Because even when something exciting happens, you're going to view it through the lens that you've been viewing everything through. And it's possible to miss opportunities in this energy as well. And so I just feel like it's important to, it's kind of like 4 of Cups energy. I'm going to get a sip of water. Where sometimes complacency can kind of take over. And a little bit of complacency is okay, like when you're wanting to just feel emotionally stable. But at some point, I think we all become ready to start taking action and like having the courage to open up our minds. Even if we're a little cynical. Trust me, I as a child, I was very cynical. Like, I used to get in arguments with people, like not arguments, but I would just get in debates about like God, and I'd be like, I don't get like how anyone believes that. And there was just this sense that like everyone that kind of thought that stuff was like maybe delusional or something. But it started from me being humbled in that moment when I felt it, I felt the reality of the present moment in a way I never had. And in that moment, I had to, it became so clear how I had been living in a muted reality through my brain only. And that is something that I think is going on here. So for the extended reading, I want to go more into like what specific mindsets are maybe holding you back right now. Maybe we can really break those down to give you more specific advice. For those of you that are really resonating and want to check out the extended, we'll do that. We'll look at like what's maybe holding you back right now, like what sort of thoughts are, what kind of pattern is making you feel this way. And then we could also take a look at what potential is out there for you if you're willing to kind of open your mind. So we'll be getting lots of guidance for this group. We'll be breaking down the ego a little bit and seeing maybe how it's keeping you this way. And I'll try to give you a little bit more of like direct advice on how you can see your thoughts differently potentially. So if that sounds helpful to you, I'll have it linked down below. But let's just get some tarot now to clarify this. So Spirit, what is the truth of pile number 2's current circumstances? What do you want to highlight for them? Yeah, we have Dreamer of Vials. This is the Page of Cups. We have the Explorer of Tomes in reverse, the Knight of Pentacles in reverse. Yeah, I feel that. We have the Sun in reverse. Yeah. Okay. So what's coming through right now is it's really just coming through that what's so needed is a little bit of the inner child waking up, because the Dreamer of Vials is someone that sees magic and is in that lighthearted energy. And the Knight of Pentacles in reverse is kind of this energy that's, I'm not surprised to see it because it's this deck especially like describes the Explorer of Tomes in reverse, and it says if you were going any slower, you'd be going backwards. And when the Sun's in reverse, for me, this can be that it's possible that you're not seeing the beauty. Like the Sun in reverse is 100% kind of clarifying this. And this can also be a sign of like depressive symptoms. And so maybe if some of you are dealing with that, I totally understand. And I don't want you to feel bad about this at all. I just want to be honest with you about what I'm seeing. And so I'm just seeing that it feels like when the Sun is in reverse, that can be when we're looking more at like the negative or like the stressful things in life, and we're not letting it be balanced out with the beauty and the fun and the optimism. And it can be a lack of optimism and a lack of clarity on what fun things could be happening in the future. It's almost this sense of thinking that things are going to be mundane or boring or just always kind of a bummer, you know? What else for pile number 2? We have the Founder in reverse, the Emperor in reverse. We have the 8 of Vials. For some of you, and then we have the 5 of Bells in reverse. And then the Numinous. Oh, yes. Wow. Yeah. Oh my gosh, you guys. Pile number 2, like, I just want to tell you, like, I know this energy and I empathize with it. The Numinous in reverse is one of the special cards in this deck. And it talks about how it's literally the meaning of when we feel like there isn't magic left in the world. Because when it's upright, it's that sense of awe. It's that sense of exactly what I was talking about. Like, you know, I'm going to read this one for you just because it's a different, it's not in most decks. So I just want to read it to you. So let me find which one's really. Let me see. It says a third interpretation of this card, a more mundane one, is a loss of the belief that there's magic in the world, which can be quite disheartening and even depressing. If this is you, it's time to find a way to reignite that spark of wonder. Yeah, it's that sense of wonder and awe. And it's like when we allow ourselves to feel wonder, then we are we have these moments of awe that just make this world feel so much bigger and so much less like dead is the way I would describe it. But what's also coming through here, there could be certain things from your past with the Five of Bells being here, Five of Swords. What this is saying more than anything is that it feels like this is a mindset. Spirit's really wanting to highlight to you that this is a mindset, and this is something that can be transformed if you're willing to open up to inspiration just a little bit. And with the Eight of Vials, this is the Eight of Cups. And so this is telling me that there may be even situations in your life that you're really just not fulfilled emotionally by, and making the decision to shift out of those could be really helpful. So I feel like for this pile, like, ask yourself if there's anything that you just already know isn't fulfilling for you. And ask yourself what makes you excited again. Like, what gets you in touch with your inner child? Like, what makes you want to explore? Like, think about as a child how we would just play in the streets, and like we would just be so, like, anything would be interesting, you know? It's like, as a kid, it's like you could be in the forest or like in the canyon, and like you have these elaborate stories going on, and it's just like you make this dream of a world within your own mind. And so this is just really trying to show you that there's a need for balancing. It's not that we should always be in that like ungrounded state. It's just that with the Founder being here, this is Emperor in reverse, when we get too locked into our structures, and there's a sense of being too locked into practicality or what we feel like we're supposed to do, that we forget that life is meant to be fun. Life is meant to be creative and an exploration. And so for this group, Spirit's just really wanting to remind you that if you can focus on your own mindset about what your expectations are for life, what your expectations are for the future, that could really help you. Six of Bells. And there may be something that, like, I don't know. I think, like, also therapy, like, I go to therapy all the time, and like, I'm just saying therapy can be something that's really helpful to kind of work on thought patterns that aren't really a reflection of reality and kind of help you break out of them. But another thing I'd see helpful for this group is just trying to do something different, even if it's small, like just like going a different way home from work, or doing something on a Saturday that you don't normally do, hanging out with someone that you haven't hung out with in a while, reaching out to an old friend, and just breaking down any structures that are just feeling restrictive and honestly boring or just like dead to you. That's really what I'm seeing for this group. So for the extended reading, we're going to take a deeper dive into what your current thought process are, what your current like assumptions and thought processes are that are maybe making this difficult to get out of. And then I'll try to kind of give you some inspiration towards what potentials there are for you. And I'll just go with whatever Spirit comes through, but I just want to give this group some inspiration or some look into what potential realities are available that aren't just this one, you know? And it's like we're the creator of our reality, and I think sometimes we forget that. I feel like sometimes we get so used to responding to the world and just playing our role that like we forget that we're still supposed to be in touch with our inner child, and you know, and that being an adult means nothing. We're just old children. We're children in big bodies. And I think there's a need to remember that and let yourself have that if that's an issue. But we're going to break down what sort of the underlying thoughts are in the extended. So I'm going to take it there. I'll have it linked down below if you are interested. Thank you so much for being here. I'm really wishing you guys the best. I know this is something you're going to get out of. And I hope this has been helpful. I hope it hasn't been like too hard to hear. Just know you're so worthy of it not feeling like this. Like, life shouldn't feel this way. And there is a solution to making things feel better, is what I would say. But yeah, if you found this helpful, if you're able to hit the like button, it does really help me out to see what videos you guys are liking. If you're able to leave a comment, I do really appreciate the feedback. And if you want to see more pick a card readings from this channel, I would love for you to join the community through subscribing. Other than that, I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I hope to connect with you again soon. Hello, pile number 3. If you chose Zeke's Arcana Tarot with this amethyst crystal point. This is going to be your reading where we're looking at the truth of your current experience. I was going to say circumstance. I said circumstance in the other piles, but I feel like it'd be more accurate to see this from your perspective as to what's going on in your life and what needs to be highlighted, what maybe is confusing. I really want to make you feel seen and hopefully expand your perspective on what you're currently going through. So this deck, I'm going to probably have to cover up some of the images because of YouTube, FYI. So I've already pulled some tarot or some oracle cards, but the song that was coming through, funny enough, is Taylor Swift, Shake It Off. Shake it off, shake it off. That was not even the right tune, but anyways, that song's coming through. So let's see what else we have. So we have 19, who in the world are you? Getting to know the new you. We have a deep breath, smoke and mirrors. We have as the weaver's way is true. We have yin, intuition, trust, patience, spirituality, and receptivity. We have house 9, spiritual growth. Make sure we are in view. Cool. And then we also have, I forgive myself for assuming others need me to ensure they're provided for. I choose to believe that when I trust others to actively participate in the creation of their lives, I invest in a world where we are all empowered and see the true strength that exists in being. We also have, I forgive myself for valuing external validation over my own internal validation. I choose to believe I can only feel the absolute joy of living in alignment with my true being, and that joy is potent enough to be both accessed and celebrated on my own. Okay, so there's a couple things coming through that I do want to dig in with tarot just to get more answers, but as an energy check-in and the overall theme, I would say that this group, with a deep breath here and smoke and mirrors, there could be some kind of like a chaos going on in your life right now. I'm getting a sense that there could be stress, that you may be feeling a little bit confused about who you are if you're not that. Like, so maybe something has shifted or something is becoming increasingly chaotic where you're kind of being forced to like let go of a role that you may be in. So there could be a feeling here of being responsible for other people with the hero here. So I don't know if like this stress that you're feeling is because of other people, or you may just be feeling like you have to be like looking out for everyone. You may even sometimes be feeling like you give a lot, or that you have a lot on your plate because you may be feeling like your identity is wrapped up in being like the supportive friend, or being the mother or the provider or something like that, where you feel like you have to take care of everything. And there's a sense that this identity of self is becoming increasingly taxing on you. And there's a part of you, I would say, that feels like you don't know what to do, or you feel like you maybe need to do more, or you may be even feeling confused. Like, I want to get more into it with tarot, but I'm just getting here that this is occurring because you're meant to start seeing who you are without a role, like without your identity being a person that helps people or a person that keeps everything together. And there's an energy here of expansion with the 9th house, spiritual growth. The 9th house also talks about expanding your like worldview, expanding the way that you see things. It's this energy where you may have had like a lot of your own beliefs, and like you may have had a very like neat way of perceiving who you are, who other people are, the way the world's supposed to work. But I feel like maybe something has happened where you're being pushed to see broader, to integrate more potential, like an expansion of the mind, or even maybe you are you've had to travel. Maybe some of you have moved recently. But either way, I can tell that with the deep breath here, I think that there is this sense of being afraid. Like, it's almost like when we are, sometimes it can be a comfort zone for us to have like a certain job. Like, let's say a job, for example. Like, if we almost can sometimes feel like our job becomes like who we are. And so instead of maybe focusing on certain things going on with ourselves, we may just focus more on our job, and like that might bring us a like sense of security or normalcy. Or maybe we focus more on our children or focus more on our friends' lives and like helping them out than really asking ourselves, than getting to know ourselves, essentially. And so I feel like this is a time where with smoke and mirrors here, I feel like you're realizing that like who you thought you were it can't be defined by like a function or like a role. And it's this essence of realizing that you're undefinable. And I'm also hearing the rest is still unwritten. And so let me just see. I want to get some tarot to see like what the deal is with the deep breath, or I'm just wondering what's happened, what's like triggered this experience for pile number 3. What's been the events that have triggered this experience? Because I feel like you may have been in like a fight or flight mode recently, or like maybe things just got chaotic or like heavy, but I'm just seeing that this card, as the Weaver's Way is true, talks about a way of living that's kind of fear-based. It's like we're trying to survive rather than thrive. And so I'm just wondering if there's been a certain role that you've been in that's kind of been more in alignment with just like surviving and making sure everyone else survives rather than focusing on what would help you thrive. Yeah. And I'm wondering if like maybe like you were getting the correct amount of validation that made you feel like worthy or made you feel like your identity was really solid, but I just feel like something's been shaken up. So now you're feeling stressed that it's not possible to comfortably like just believe that now. So I just want to see why. So what's happened for pile number 3 for this to occur? I gotta be ready with some cover-ups with this one. But I love this deck. Can you guys believe this beautiful pink? Like, oh my god, I'm obsessed with it. Okay, what's like the backstory here? Can you give me some context to how pile number 3 are like found themselves in this position? Okay, just make sure. Okay, we have Ace of Swords in the reverse position. What's the backstory here? I'm seeing that there is a lot of clouds, confusion, like there's a situation where you like haven't been seeing it clearly, or maybe you thought you knew, you maybe thought that you had the truth of something, but now you just feel like you can't discern, or like you're just, there's a sense of confusion, or like you don't know up from down in some situation that you maybe used to feel like, yeah, we have the Tower now. Yeah, so there may have been some Tower moment where it's become clear to you that you didn't have all the information you thought you had, or that sense of certainty and clarity about your role in something or your identity in some situation, maybe what you were building. You may have thought it was like rock solid, but I'm definitely seeing the Tower. I'm not surprised because it feels like something has come to chaos or like crashing down. What's the context, please? All right, this one is, we have the 9 of Wands. Sorry, I laugh sometimes, like not because I'm trying to be like mean. I just like laugh naturally. Just, I don't know. I sometimes laugh at like chaos, or just like in my own life, like let's say everything is like kind of going wrong. Like there is a laughable element always that I feel. But with the 9 of Wands in reverse, I'm 100% getting this sense of defeat, or like this sense of like things are just difficult for you guys. Like there's no way that like this isn't your group unless you guys have been dealing with this sense of uncertainty, confusion, things falling apart, things not being the way that they used to be, a sense of how am I supposed to stand against this. I think things have actually gotten so like effed up is kind of what I'm getting. Sorry, I don't know why I'm laughing. Again, I'm not trying to be rude at all. Someone commented one time saying it's like very inconsiderate for you to like laugh, and I just need to clarify that it's a natural thing that happens to me, I guess. But with the 9 of Wands in reverse, this can be an energy where enough bad things have happened to us, like traumatic events or just like chaotic events, that we actually are now, all we can see is potential problems. And I feel like for some of you, you might be feeling like what else can go wrong? Like it may be even hard for you to like trust people right now or trust situations, because you might just be feeling like it's been hit after hit, and it's like, when's the next one coming? You know, it's the wounded warrior that has felt overwhelmed by what's gone on. I think this has been overwhelming. Yeah. All right. What else, please? Anything else you can tell me about the context? We have Justice. We have the Queen of Coins in reverse. There could have been like a loss in money. Like, I'm wondering if something that you had been investing a lot of your like energy into maybe fell apart. So like, and with the Justice here, I'm even wondering if like, I don't know, some of you maybe have gone through a divorce. Maybe some of you, there could have been a legal issue just because Justice is here. But if not a legal issue, it could have just been like, you felt like your standing was so much more solid, and now you're dealing with the aftermath of losing your stability. There's really been a loss of stability, a loss of confidence of where you stand. Yeah, okay, one more, please. Ace of Cups in reverse. And the Four of Swords in reverse. Yeah, there's a real sense of burnout and exhaustion with this pile. A feeling of everything is lost. It's not, by the way, I don't think that. But there's just a feeling that some opportunity may have really gone awry. Or maybe some of you have even stopped like thinking that there can be relief from this. I want to actually dig into the Justice. I just think you're at a point right now where you're in need of some TLC, love and care, some downtime just to process this. I think there's a real strong need for that. So yeah, I'm just sensing that something really knocked you off of your 2 feet. And there's a sense with the Ace of Swords of not having seen it coming with the smoke and mirrors. And now that with the deep breath here, there's a sense that the only thing you can do is take a deep breath. And also the deep breath card talks about the 9 of Wands in reverse. They're a very similar card. It's like when you feel like things have gone wrong, you can start looking for more trouble, because not like you want to go find it, but you're afraid of it. So it's like everything feels like a threat now. And you may be holding on very tightly to what's left of you. I think there's been some Tower moment that has fundamentally caused you to question who you are. Or like something that has maybe was so fundamental to your identity. I think it has unexpectedly come to a crumble. Why is Justice here? It could have been a relationship. Something in the 7th house. Wheel of Fortune. The 9 of Pentacles in reverse. This could have been about money, you guys. Like, I feel like there was just some intense shift. Maybe money was decided to go somewhere else. Something just deeply changed and reminded you of the changing nature of life. You may be feeling like something you depended on shifted away from you. This feels like money or something like that. Can I get one more? Like, what changed? What exactly changed for pile number 3? Yeah, we have Death here. Let me just get my little pin for this. So, okay, we have Death. Oops. Okay, we have Death and the Chariot in reverse. Yeah, there was a sudden, unexpected heartbreak. Yeah, something that you may have even been very, maybe you thought there was going to be some kind of justice served to you. Maybe you thought you were going to be getting some kind of victory in a situation, or you may have thought that things were going to go in your favor, and it's possible that they didn't, or that something like that. Like something where you definitely thought there was victory, something you had been working towards. I feel like you've been putting a lot of effort into something with the Tower. It's like you've been trying to, there's some goal you had, but the Tower moment definitely feels like it's threatened your sense of stability and your sense of like confidence for life. Like I feel like your confidence has been rocked. What did they think was going to happen? What were they hoping for? What was pile number 3 wanting to happen? What did they want from this situation? Okay, with the Knight of Coin in reverse. Maybe you thought by like staying like loyal to something, like maybe you guys like kept investing in something, or you may have thought that your efforts were going to pay out for whatever it is, because it's going to be different for all of you. But I just feel like some goal you had, whether it be like a relationship, but it feels like it could be a relationship, but I feel like it would involve like shared assets or like money. It could have been a job. It could be that like you dedicated yourself to sticking with a company that ended up like screwing you over or something like that. But there's this sense that you didn't move, or you didn't like, you were loyal to something, I feel like, and then, or like you didn't choose to let go of it, but then you didn't even get what you were owed in the situation. So you may have even put like something else before like your genuine feelings of it. But yeah, this is very interesting. I would like to hear from you guys if you would be willing to share what happened here. You don't have to, but sometimes it's interesting for me to see like how this plays out for different people. 4 of Swords. Yeah, and it could have been like you might have just been putting your trust in someone else. Like you might have been like, if I just like give more to the situation and put other people before me, and like, even though maybe I felt that wasn't the best thing to do, like that's what's going to bring me the most security or something. But now I feel like that's really been rocked. But like, I also feel like this is a fundamental shift in how you're going to see life, how you are going to approach life. It's actually forcing you to expand. Yeah, I got to clarify more though. So, okay, so for pile number 3, where are they sitting now? What is their, like, what's currently... I want to see what your thoughts are about what happened. What are pile number 3's current thoughts about what's going on here? How do they feel and think about this? Like, what is their perspective? Okay, I need to block this off. We have the Lovers. Just don't want any... Oops. Taurus and Aries could be relevant. We have the Page of Coins. What is their perspective? Queen of Wands, reverse. Temperance in reverse. The Hierophant in reverse, and we have the 4 of Cups. And then the Sun at the back of the deck. Okay, interesting. So I feel like maybe someone... I just feel like some sort of commitment or something that you thought was going to... I just think something like hit the fan. Like with the Lovers here, that can talk about a choice. You maybe feel like there's some specific person in this mix. But with Temperance, both of these cards are about balancing 2 points of view. Like the Lovers is like a balance between 2 people. And Temperance for me is the balance between 2 opposites. It could have been like a hot and cold situation, or maybe a situation that you thought was more solid completely flipped on its head. And some sort of commitment was lost. With the Page of Coins here, this could have been a new like opportunity in the physical, like... With the Queen of Wands in reverse, I feel like you were left angry. Like, I feel like there's definitely anger for something. But with the 4 of Cups, there could have been some kind of a rejection. I need to clarify. So, why is the Lovers here? Yeah, we have the Five of Swords in reverse. I think there was like foul play or something. Why is Temperance in reverse? Oh my gosh, there was an inequality. I definitely feel like someone may have like turned on you, or you may have felt like you were giving to someone, or maybe you were owed something, but someone like messed that up is kind of what I'm getting. Because with the Five of Swords here, I think someone like, because that can talk about like competition that's like me versus you. Like, I want this, and you may have been left feeling defeated by some sort of dynamic that you maybe thought was more good intentioned. And with the Six of Pentacles, you might have even given a lot to this person. Maybe you even gave a lot to this person when they were down. Maybe you like helped someone out, or it's like, I feel like you were generous in this situation, and that person messed it up and like did not like mess things up for you for sure. Why is the Page of Coins here? We have Death in reverse. One more for that. Justice in reverse. There may be like another person involved. Like, I don't know if this Page of Coins, for some of you that have like children, I'm kind of getting the vibe of like a marital like battle for a child. But if not that, like maybe it's metaphorical. Like maybe this was like a business partnership, and there was supposed to be some kind of an agreement for it, but something unfair. I just know something went wrong. Someone wronged you here, like for a fact. Like someone was not fair with their actions. Did not follow through on what they were supposed to. Maybe someone was supposed to let go of something and give it to you. Like, that's kind of why I'm getting like maybe someone was supposed to get like the custody of a child. Like, they were supposed to let go of the person. Or maybe you were supposed to get more of like, I don't know. Maybe you're just supposed to get some sort of outcome of something that's like, was a business idea. Why is the Hierophant in reverse? Ace of Swords in reverse. Yeah, this is something you just didn't see coming, and it's like you thought you maybe knew this person, or you knew these people, even if it's like a group of people. You thought it was going to turn out differently. Like, that's the best way to describe it. You thought there was going to be more of an equal give and take, but then someone acted selfishly. And it's like you thought there was a commitment, an agreement, but you didn't see that someone was not being like honest. Why is the Queen of Wands here? The Tower, yeah, and everything came crumbling. The Hermit. Maybe you were left alone, or you were left to like deal with this on your own, and like the only option you had is just to like surrender. And that is true. Like, sometimes the Hangman is here because it's like you were forced to give up on this because there was nothing you could do. Like, I feel like that something happened, some judgment call was made where some action was taken that like it did ruin everything to a point that you can't just build it back up. Like, something has been lost and it's irrecoverable. Why is the Four of Cups here? The Two of Cups. This feels like it was with a significant relationship or person. Can I get one more? Ace of Wands. Yeah, I think there was like something had gone sour. Like, I feel like we have the Emperor at the back of the deck. Ten of Swords. Yeah, there was some kind of betrayal. Something did not work out as planned. That's the best way to describe it. Not funny again. It's definitely not funny. It's just like unfortunate. So yeah, that sounds like your situation. I guess I wanted more like context into it. In the extended, I want to like dig into this person. Like, I want to give you closure. For those of you that are feeling like you need closure or like more understanding of like the forces involved in this, I want that to be the first part of the extended reading, to kind of give you some more like validation and advice. And then we'll just get you like overall. Oh, my dog is here. Hi, puppy. It's okay. No walk. Okay, no, you gotta lay down. Lay down, baby. Okay. But yeah, I just think there's a situation going on where you have genuinely feel like someone targeted you. Like someone was unfair to you. And who you thought you were, who you thought they were, revealed to be not the case. And you are left now, I feel like, having to listen to your intuition. I feel like your intuition failed you, or like you didn't see it coming. And now you're having to like process this, is what I'm seeing is the truth of your situation. The truth of your situation is that, yes, there were people out there that did not have your best interest in mind. But whatever came crumbling down, I'm seeing really serves you. I think whatever you were pouring your energy into had the seeds of failure from the beginning, and it was inevitable for this to be revealed. And I think the core lesson is that if you hadn't maybe trusted someone else over yourself, or if you hadn't like put other people before you, it's possible that you wouldn't have made that decision that got you to this place. And it's not for like regret, it's that this is the lesson. Is that maybe because you wanted the validation of someone or something or some goal, you maybe wanted this more than you would have if you didn't have that. And another thing is like, you may have felt like you had to give to other people, or you may have felt like guilty if you didn't, or you might have just felt like some part of your identity just like it fit really well with how you decided to act. But this part of your identity is now going to be going through like a huge major shift, because I feel like you're about to become a lot more selfish, which I think is a good thing. I think you're going to start living a bit more for yourself, and you're going to realize that life shouldn't be like this. And I think at one point, of course, down the line, you're going to see that this was actually something that shifted you for the better. But I definitely don't want to say that too soon. And I want to honor the feelings that you're having about this now. And I just want to also like empathize with you and tell you that I very much understand when like you find out like people have betrayed you, or like you haven't been seeing things clearly. It can cause such a spiral of self-doubt and lack of trust in the world. And I just want to tell you, I understand what that's like, but that will come back. You will grow that back within yourself. And just know that not everyone is going to betray you. Like that isn't the truth. And that your intuition actually had been intact the whole time. Your intuition probably told you some red flags were there, but because your ego was identified with the hero, identified with the role of maybe the giver, or like the role of whatever that, like it argued over your intuition, and that's what's being broken up right now. So that's where I'm going to leave this, you guys. I'm going to take into the extended. We're going to take a deeper look at the truth of whoever you were dealing with in the situation, whether it was a community, a workplace, a person, a relationship. We're going to dig into that, like what was the deal, what you need to know about that for closure. And then we're also going to be looking at like what's ahead now, like what's next on this journey, like how is this going to shift you? What's going to happen in the future, essentially, just to give you a little bit of direction. So I'll have that linked down below in the description box if you guys are curious to hear more or feel like this is really a reading. But other than that, this is what I have. If you found value, hit the like button, leave a comment if you feel like doing that. I would definitely like to know for this group what happened, because I'm left with several different storylines. And I'm sure there are several different storylines. But anyways, if you guys want to join the community, I would love for you guys to subscribe so you don't miss any future pick a card readings. And yeah, also I'm seeing just now, last second, this South Node. I feel like this has been like a South Node situation, destined to release. Like you were destined to process this in this lifetime, and it'll be like the last time you deal with it, is what I'm getting. So this is a South Node moment. Now I think you can go into your North Node, which is great. Okay. And South Node is when you have past lives where this same cycle had repeated. And so it's like, this is something that your soul knows. Like this cycle is something that your soul is like aware of, and you're working through it in this life. But anyways, that's where I'm going to leave it. And I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I hope to connect with you soon.